Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I am, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola, and again, joined by my wife, Amy. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm swell. How are you?
Swell. There's a word for you. We haven't heard that word in a while. Swell. I like it. So tonight, we are going to be reviewing, going deep diving on one of our favorite movies as a couple called Noises Off.
Oh, God, I love this movie.
What a good movie, right? So this is a movie. It came out in 92. It's got a big cast. Mm-hmm. Small movie, but a big cast. But a big cast of name actors.
Yeah, fair.
And that's really, really where it's at. So I'm going to kind of go through that in a minute. But let's play the trailer to the movie.
Okay.
What do you think? You want to listen to the trailer?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Once upon a time, in a place of make-believe, there was a little theater company that couldn't.
Sorry, folks. Am I doing something wrong?
They couldn't get their cues right.
What is going on?
They couldn't get their lines straight.
We'll only just manage to fit it in. We'll only just do it.
They couldn't even stand on their own 2 feet.
Are you all right, Gary?
Don't panic, don't panic!
He's all right!
Oh, well done.
Until a director was hired
Hold it!
Stop.
Stop.
Hold it!
to take control.
God said hold it!
He started with the basics.
We know you've worked over in London in some very classy places where they let you make the play up as you go along. But we don't want that kind of thing here, love.
Developed their talent.
Would it perhaps be better if I came on a little earlier?
Right, only a little sooner, a shade earlier, like yesterday.
Nurtured their creativity.
Let me just say one thing. No. Could I ask another dumb question? No.
And guided their every move.
Don't fall down, Tim. We may not be insured.
Now, if he can only get them to Broadway in one piece.
I'm starting to know what God felt like.
And what did he feel like?
Very pleased he'd taken his Valium.
They just might have a happy ending.
It's like the band playing on as the Titanic sank.
Touchstone Pictures and Amblin Entertainment present a Peter Bogdanovich picture.
Is it a party?
Noises Off.
I've worked with a lot of directors, but I've never met one who was so totally and absolutely, I don't know. Beautifully put, Gary.
That is fantastic. And the trailer really does sell the movie for exactly what it is. So it's a farce. It's a comedy farce based on an original play. Mm-hmm. The movie was directed by Peter Bogdanovich, who actually, the only thing I ever knew him from was Mask with Cher.
Oh, really?
Yes, he directed that movie with Cher and oh God, now his name escapes me. Eric Stoltz. Thank you. So he was the director. Now the cast. Let's talk about the cast. You heard the trailer. For those who listen to the trailer, now you have a lot of well-known voices there, right? Michael Caine plays the director, and your cast is rounded out with Carol Burnett, Denham Elliott, Christopher Reeve, Mary Lou Henner, John Ritter, Nicolette Sheridan, Marklyn Baker, Julie Haggerty. I mean, it's just a who's who for the 90s, 80s, and 90s, right? Like just a well-ensembled cast, I felt like, that really worked so well together. I mean, didn't they? They were just incredible together. What did you think of the movie?
So I never saw it till we were dating.
Yeah, and then I showed it to you. Yeah,
And you showed it to me.
we've kind of done that, right? There's been a lot of movies that I watched a lot. Like, you have to watch this, you have to watch this. So this was definitely on that list.
And I really liked it. I liked it the first time that I saw it. I found it hysterical, but it's also one of these movies that as you continue to watch, you notice different things, like different little things every time that make you like it even more. Yeah. And I particularly like, so there's a couple of parts that I really like that we can get to, but I particularly like the middle where it's the show where everything goes wrong. I think that's like one of the most well-written comedic things I've ever seen.
Yes. So to kind of give a quick overview of the movie, Michael Caine is the director of this play called Nothing On. The movie itself is called Noises Off, but the play is called Nothing On. And it's a comedy farce where people are kind of coming and going in this one place, in this one house sort of in the countryside of England or whatever, and they're in and out of doors. It's one of those in the door, out the door, right? Bringing things on the stage, bringing things off the stage, and how they're not supposed to see each other. They keep missing each other, right? So you do that. You start off by watching them do their first dress rehearsal, right? I think in Des Moines or one of the places.
Somewhere, yeah.
Right? And it's about how this group who's just coming together progresses to get to Broadway, and how they start off kind of, bumbling and not really understanding what their job is. They're kind of rushed into it, right? They missed their tech rehearsal. Now they're on their dress rehearsal and they're opening within less than 24 hours, right? And how he's just trying to pull them together, and how they have all these personal relationships with each other and things like that, and it starts to break down, right? They start getting it right, and then they start getting it really, really wrong, and they start hating each other and on purpose screwing each other up behind the scenes, and just you're watching from the front of the scene, the front of the house, and watching this horrific train wreck of a play going on, and how Michael Caine is just losing his mind constantly. But then he kind of goes off to deal with another play while it's on its show run, going around the country, and then he comes back to when they're on Broadway, and by the end of the show, they're fine. They pulled it together somehow. When they get to Broadway, they're good. The show comes out without a hitch, and he's very glad. But it's all sort of from his perspective in a way, and he does like the voiceover. Michael Caine does the voiceover as you're listening to this, and who's this guy leaving the theater, which should be the director staying there. So that's the overview of the movie. Who are your favorite? What are some of your favorite characters? And you obviously name the actor, and we can go through their actual movie name, but
So I like Michael Caine's character a lot. I find him very, very funny.
yes.
I also, though,
Lloyd Fellows.
I like Carol Burnett.
Dottie Otley.
Yeah, I like Dottie Otley, and then John Ritter always makes me laugh.
Yes,
always.
Yeah, because this is like a perfect movie for him. It's slapstick. He's very good at that slapstick fall down.
When you watch him and you look at the physical way he could do comedy.
Yeah,
I mean, the only other person I've seen do it like that is Chevy Chase, and it's
Chase, Jerry Lewis.
Yeah,
he's going back a ways. The greats. He's definitely a very physical comedian. And he always was like that on Three's Company. He was always falling down pratfalls and that kind of stuff, and he played it off very, very well. So yeah, absolutely, definitely one of my favorites. This was sort of height of the Nicolette Sheridan. She was on, I want to say, not Falcon Crest. She was on Knots Landing, I believe.
Probably, I don't know.
So that was they're in her. She was sort of his, partner in the show. Like everybody's kind of teamed up throughout the movie as people they were coming on and off together, and so Nicolette Sheridan was with.
I don't particularly love Nicolette Sheridan.
Now, why is that?
I don't know. She's fine. Like she's just fine.
She's window dressing in this movie.
Sure, and in a lot of
she's
things,
dressed in like nothing basically.
Yeah.
She's dressed in her underwear essentially throughout the entire movie.
She's fine. Like she's fine, and I've always felt that way about her. Like she's just fine.
Yeah,
she's not exceptional. She's good.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Yeah,
that's just
and she plays sort of the bumbling knucklehead in this movie, who keeps losing her contacts throughout the whole thing. Every time she gets bumped, she loses the contact, has to stop the whole production, has to stop the whole play because everybody's got to get down on the floor and look for her contact. First time she did it was in her eye. It just went around back.
Yeah.
I'll stop production. So one of my favorites is Denham Elliott's character, Selsden Mowbray. He plays, he's been around, like Carol Burnett's character, they've been around theater forever. And they're basically coming towards retirement, or they have retired, and he came back out of retirement or whatever to do another play because she wanted sort of like one last hurrah, where Dottie Otley finances this play essentially.
Well,
so like one last, going out with a bang.
And he's a drunk.
Well, yeah, I was getting there.
And they spent the whole thing trying to keep him off the sauce.
Right. He's got bottles hidden everywhere all over in the back of the house in front of them. So they're trying to constantly keep him away from it. So that's part of the farce. That's part of the comedy. One of the tropes of the whole thing. And right from the beginning, right, they're starting this dress rehearsal and they can't find him. Every time it's where's Selsden, they figure he's drunk in an alley somewhere. He was beside the... Or dead. He was beside the seats. Like he was beside, in the theater, beside all the seats. It just, sleeping it off.
Yeah.
And they're all searching backstage, front of stage, trying to find him. Where's Selsden? He gets up. And we have a clip of that. Do you want to listen to
Yes.
This is one of my favorites. I'm going to pull up a couple of clips during the show. So they've gone looking for him. They can't find him. And Dottie's kind of apologizing because she was the one who brought him into the production.
Idea.
So,
I keep saying it's my idea.
Let's give him one last chance. But what could I do? We did summer stock together when I was just a kid.
It's my fault, sweetheart. I should never have left you. This tour isn't just, you know what I mean, for her. This
John
is
Ritter's character, he never finishes a sentence.
I am not out to this point you see
him sort of stumbling, getting up.
Oh, we know, hon.
while they're trying to talk about him.
Something to buy a little house that she could. I mean, Jesus, that's not so much to ask.
Oh, now come on, sweetie. You're not going to blame
Christopher
yourself.
Reeve. Did I mention that?
You're not
Christopher
going to
Reeve
cry.
plays
I'm
Frederick
not going to let
Dallas.
you cry.
No, I've got something behind my lens.
Yes, it's not Brooke's fault. You couldn't expect her to keep an eye on anyone.
I mean, he was standing right there in the orchestra before we started. I saw
They're pointing him at this
Who are
point.
we talking about now?
It's all right, sweetie. We know you can't see anything.
You mean Selsden? Oh, I'm not blind. I can see Selsden. Selsden!
Oh, my God, he's been here all the time.
Standing there like Hamlet's father.
My God, Selsden, you really surprised us. We thought you were... not
And that's one of the best parts,
Selsden, where
Michael
have you
Caine's
been? Are you all right,
deadpan
Selsden?
comedy.
Speak to us.
Is it a party?
Is it a party?
Is it? How killing. I got it into my head there was going to be a rehearsal. I was having a little postprandial snooze at the side of the stall.
And he pretends he can't hear
ready for
anybody.
the rehearsal.
Oh, isn't he lovely?
Much lovelier now that we can see him.
So what are we celebrating?
What are we celebrating?
Selsden.
Tim, you look strained and anxious. You're not trying to do too
So there
much, are
you go.
I can't find the
That's
gear. I've looked all through his wardrobe. Oh.
Beer?
Mark
In the
Lynn Baker.
wardrobe?
No, Selsden.
From,
Tim, you need a break. Why don't you
Perfect
sit down
Strangers.
quietly upstairs and do the company payroll?
I'll just do the
He
bananas
basically plays
first.
like the stagehand.
He has been on his feet for 48 hours, Lloyd.
And don't fall down, Tim. We may not be insured.
A lot of pratfalls throughout this movie.
So what's next on the bill?
Well, Selsden, I thought we might try a spot of rehearsal.
Oh, I won't, thank you.
You won't?
No, you all go ahead. I'll just sit and watch. This is the beer in the wardrobe, is it?
No,
Beer
my
in the
dear.
water.
He wants us to rehearse.
Yes, but I think we got to rehearse, haven't we?
Rehearse, yes, Selsden. Well done. I
Genius.
knew you'd think of something. Right, from Belinda and Freddie's entrance. Oh, my God, what's happened now?
The police.
Julie
The police?
Haggerty.
They found an
You know
old
her from
man lying
Airplane.
unconscious in the doorway just across the street.
Oh, yes, thank
And
you.
they say he's very dirty and pretty smelly.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
thought,
He's standing
oh
right
my
behind
God,
her.
Because when you get close to Selsden...
Poppy.
No, I mean, if you stand anywhere near Selsden, you can't help noticing this very distinctive...
She
I'll
smells.
tell you something, Poppy. Once you get it in your nostrils, you never forget it. 60 years now, and the smell of the theater still haunts me.
Bless him.
Tell me, puppy love, how did you get a job like this that requires tact and understanding? You're not somebody's girlfriend, are you?
I love it.
Don't worry.
I love it. That was great. And it goes on. It just goes on with him, and you know, there's we don't want to rehearse. I'm not on for 20 pages, and they just keep going on, and they just, you know, he's not listening.
That is my favorite moment in the whole movie. That's one of them, but
One
that
of
is
them.
my favorite. But that is early on, like when he's, you know, they're trying to get him to rehearse. And
Yes.
Then he doesn't come in, and Michael Caine is like, "We're here.
That's
the
what I'm queuing
moment's
up.
arrived."
That's what I'm queuing up right now because that
Selsden?
is one of my
Selsden?
favorite. Yes, when you see them leave, and it's supposed he's the burglar, so he's supposed to be coming in right as Christopher Reeve's character goes off. So he keeps like interjecting and being like, "Am I on? No, you're not on for another 10 pages. No, you're not on another 5 pages." So then when it's time for him to come on, he's nowhere to be found.
Yep, they can't find him.
Michael Caine. I'm gonna try to cue it up, but Michael Caine's deadpan, perfect time. So this is it right here. Let's listen to this part. They just pan over to the window. Nothing.
Selsden? You're on, Selsden. We're there. The moment's arrived.
Right, Lloyd. He's coming. He's coming.
There should be an arm coming through the window even before Freddie's off. Here it comes.
Hey, boss, that burglar alarms, they ought to be prosecuted for
All right,
incitement.
Selsden, hold it. Let's take it again.
Sometimes it makes me want to sit down and weep.
Hold
when I
it,
think I used to do
Selsden,
both.
hold
And I know
it.
the rules
Michael
are
Caine is
because the old
genius in
turkey
this
in the
movie.
kitchen told me
Lloyd
so.
wants you to hold it.
And I'm...
Stop, Selsden, darling. Wait up, dear.
Like the band playing on as the Titanic sank.
Stop.
Thank you, Belinda. Thank you, Poppy. Selsden,
My dad was nearly on the Titanic.
I think he can hear better than I can.
Beg your pardon?
From your entrance, please, Selsden.
Of course, it was before the war, so crossing the Atlantic...
Thank you. Poppy!
Oh, not for me. Stops me sleeping.
Put the glass back, will you?
Come on again.
Right, only a little sooner, a shade earlier, like yesterday. Freddie? Selsden?
Yeah.
Start
This back
moving
and
as
forth
soon as
is good.
Freddie opens the door. What's the line?
I've heard of people getting stuck with a problem, but this is ridiculous.
You start moving when you hear the line. I've heard of people getting stuck with a problem.
Stuck with a problem?
Stuck with a problem, but this is ridiculous. And I want your arm through the window, right?
Say no more. May I make just one suggestion?
This is it.
What's that, Selsden?
Would it perhaps be better if I came on a little earlier?
Selsden.
Only there does seem to be
He's gonna
something of
punch
a
him.
hiatus between Freddie's exit and my entrance.
No, Selsden. Listen.
Yeah?
Don't worry, I've got it.
What?
How about coming on a little earlier?
Well, we're obviously thinking along the same lines.
Am I putting him on or is he putting me on?
That's my favorite right there. That whole scene, that whole interaction.
It is really like it's just like comic gold, right?
Yes.
Like watching it. It's the timing too, and the timing that they're all able to have.
Yes.
And I think they're all very well cast in these roles, because like they're specifically like Carol Burnett and Michael Caine and John Ritter. They need a lot of the timing. Christopher Reeve does a really nice job too, but I feel like Nicolette Sheridan, the timing isn't as critical with her. But there's there are certain characters where they absolutely have to have it. And they've got it.
Yes.
They've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's one of those movies, and I've seen it so many times that I can like go to sleep to it because I know it so well. I know the dialogue so well. I don't necessarily have to watch it, or it can be in the background, or it's I've just seen it so many times that I just enjoy it every time it's on. So what was your first, I guess, take on the movie itself? You know what I mean? Like what did you think? It wasn't a super popular movie. You know what I mean? It's kind of a B movie, if you will, almost, with a lot of great stars in it.
I mean, I liked it the first time I saw it. I thought it was really, really funny and well done.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the characters that I talked about before. And then as I've watched it, and I liked it enough that I wanted to watch it again almost immediately.
Yeah.
And so we did. And so that's when I started to notice like different little things, just how, the timing and how things were written or how they were coming in. And it was quite, it was really, really well done. And I feel like I still notice things all the time.
Yes.
Every time I watch it.
Yeah, you definitely get those little subtleties, like Michael Caine's interactions with them when he's just kind of like almost speaking to them but not speaking to them because he's just getting more frustrated. So he just makes these little offhanded comments or quips, things like that.
Or the whole relationship with him and Poppy, how they hint at that in the beginning. Like,
yes.
How'd you get this job? You weren't somebody's girlfriend, are you?
Right, but they are actually dating.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a thing too. So like the movie, as we said, it's about the play, but it's also about the relationships, the behind the scene relationships, right? So the very beginning, and it changes throughout the movie because all this time passes, all these months pass between the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie as they go towards Broadway. So at the beginning, John Ritter is actually involved with Carol Burnett's character. Yes. And as you said, Michael Caine is involved with Poppy, but he's also involved with Nicolette Sheridan's character as well at the same time, sort of behind each other's back. So, because he's sort of the dog, if you will, who's seeing multiple women at the same time. And that ends up changing by the end of the movie, and he ends up with Poppy, and she's pregnant. So he ends up, so then they get married by the end of it. So, which is really great. And one of my favorite sort of running gags throughout the movie is Mark Lynn Baker. He's behind the scenes all the time because he's a stagehand, and he keeps getting sort of these looks from the other stagehands who generally are women, like curtain people or whatever. And every time he falls or whatever, and they just give him this like look of disgust of like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? They just walk away from him. And then I think he ends up with one of them by the end of it, like the one in Hollywood, I think, or not Hollywood, on Broadway in New York. He ends up with her, and they get together, which is really fun. But he's fun to watch. He's sort of the sleeper, right? Like he's in there. He's just sort of background noise, if you will, and background funny, you know what I mean? He doesn't have a lot to do, but he does have a lot because he's a stage guy. So anytime they sort of throw somebody into the bus, they throw him. Yeah. Right? He does a lot of pratfalls. He's running around. He's constantly tired. He's always tired throughout the whole movie, but he has to do the stagehand, and he's a backup player.
Yes.
So if somebody gets sick or somebody gets hurt, something like that, he has to throw on the robes, or he has to do something and dress up as somebody's character. So it's funny to watch how the production moves from the beginning to the end. And when they're on Broadway, the parts are somewhat different. If you notice, like at the end when they're doing this sort of like ending stage thing, Carol Burnett is dressed in Nicolette Sheridan's costume.
Yeah, but that's the end of Act 2. What you see in the beginning is the end of Act 1.
Right. We never really, in the beginning, we don't ever see the Act 2. Yeah. Right. But so my question was always, how does she end up in that costume?
Oh, that's something happens in Act 2. Or did they change the part? I don't know if they changed the part, but something happens in Act 2.
Yeah, that's only my take. That was always my take. Did some people like change their roles because they figure maybe they're better at that role?
I didn't know. I didn't take it that way.
No, I
didn't take it that way.
You never know, right?
That didn't even cross my mind. I thought about it as like, it was just something, whatever happened in Act 2. It was just more ridiculousness.
No, I know, but I think at the end, if I'm not mistaken, I can look through because I have the video up, but I can see at the end when they're doing their final curtain calls or final parts to it, if I'm not mistaken, she's doing the stuff. No, at the end of it, she's still doing her thing, but it's at the end. But then at the end, she's like in the curtain call, she's dressed as her.
Yeah.
So there's something has to happen that she changes costumes and she's now.
It's mystery.
It's a mystery. I mean, that's one of the great things about this show, this movie, is that I actually want to see the actual play. You know what I mean? Like, I actually want to watch the entire real play that they're supposed to be doing.
I don't think there is one.
No, I don't think so. It was based off of this. I think the movie was based off an actual play, but this was the play. It was a company of people playing a company of people. You know what I mean? So I think that's really where it really ended up being. But it's still funny, this whole nothing on show. Like, I really would love to have actually seen the play itself. I think that would be pretty funny because it is fun, the little on and off stuff. So yeah, definitely. All right. So I'm kind of going character by character. Julie Haggerty's character, Poppy. What's your take on What's your thoughts on Poppy?
So in the beginning, you feel bad for her. I feel like she's, really mousy and withdrawn, and then she's so stressed with everything. Yeah. And, eventually she kind of comes into her own. Like, when she tells him she's pregnant, she just, freaks out and tells him.
Yes.
And that's, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Because she does get beat up a lot.
Yeah, she really does. By him.
Yeah, by him. All by
Michael
him.
Caine.
He's, losing his mind. He's directing this company of people who who can't put their 2 feet together. When they do, they trip over each other. And so he's stressing out, and he's just basically taking out on her the entire time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely feel bad for her character. And I loved her in the Airplane movies. I know you've. I know. We know. Me and the audience all know you've never seen the Airplane movies, but she's the main lead, one of the main leads in the movies.
I would watch them, but you always say no. I'm not gonna watch them.
We should sit down and watch them at some point.
Okay.
One of the time that neither one of us are gonna fall asleep. That's always the part. All right, Mary Lou Henner. She plays Belinda Blair.
I like Mary Lou Henner in general. I think she's a really great actress. Mm-hmm. But I think she's well suited to this part. Yeah. I enjoy her, and I enjoy that she's always running around trying to keep them together.
Yes.
She's trying to hold everyone in place.
Yeah.
She's never really angry. She's always trying to smooth it over. Mm. And at
one point she gets a little testy.
Yeah, well,
she does, but she goes through a lot. She starts off really happy. Everything's great. Everybody's wonderful. She loves everybody. She loves how amazing everybody is, and she's always the positive, upbeat one. And at some point, it turns on with her upbeatness. It's just I've had enough of these idiots.
And she tries to she's really supportive of Christopher Reeve. His relationship just fell apart in the movie, so she's really supportive of him and trying to be protective of him. And it's just I like her character. And as you watch her kind of through this disastrous scene, I think it's in Miami.
Yep.
When they have this in Miami Beach, they're playing a matinee. That everything just kind of falls apart, and even she at the end of it is
yes.
What?
Yeah.
What is even going on here?
The height of their trashed is Miami. Miami seems to be the one. Right? That seems to be the culmination of how bad it really gets for them. And that was really funny when Michael Caine, he shows up in the front of the house. He's just watching. He kind of gets in from New York. He had a little time off from New York because he was doing Hamlet or something like that.
Hamlet.
He was doing Hamlet in New York, so he comes in and he just to see how they're doing. They're just a wreck. They're a wreck. And I love the fact that Mark Lynn-Baker, who plays Tim, and Poppy are running the back of the house. They're kind of organizing, and they keep coming on the mic everybody, please take your seats. The curtain will raise in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and they keep changing the times. Mm-hmm. And he finally bursts in. He's like, what the hell is going on back here? You got old people out there. They're running for the John because you got 5 minutes, and they're coming back because you're saying 1 minute. And you just they're gonna die out there because it's Miami and it's full of the blue hairs. And he freaks out on them. That was one of my favorite parts in that section, and that's really where they're really just torturing each other.
I think the part that I like best in that section is that the funniest things that happen, it's all backstage and it's all in silence.
Yeah.
Because they all have to be silent. So the
Right.
play is going on, but they're doing things like Carol Burnett is going after John Ritter with the axe. No, John Ritter's going after Christopher Reeve with the axe.
Yes. Oh, and Christopher Reeve he can't see the sight of blood. Like he doesn't.
And he faints.
He faints at the sight of blood.
At the sight of blood.
Yeah.
And so there's all of this. And they've got the bottle that's backstage and Selden keeps trying to get it and they're passing it off and they're trying to keep an eye on him. And it's so funny.
Trying to keep them from killing each other because John Ritter thinks that Christopher Reeve is making time with Dottie.
Yes.
With Carol Burnett, but she was just helping console him because of his marriage breakup or whatever.
No, she was trying to make John Ritter jealous.
Yeah.
She and John
That's
Ritter
how
were
she was
together.
doing it.
She was trying to play it off. So
Yes.
John Ritter's furious and all of this is all falling to bits. And then Nicolette Sheridan has nervous exhaustion and she needs to leave the play. And Michael Caine has flown in basically to
put the ship right.
Yeah, to pull her back together.
Yeah. But he has to independently pull everybody back together at the same time. That was really good. And he's trying to make up with, was it Poppy he was trying to make up for? Because he kept sending Tim out.
Oh, the flowers are for...
Oh, that's right. For
flowers are for Nicolette Sheridan.
That's right. For her. And he keeps sending him out. She's sending Tim out to get flowers.
And what happens is Poppy sees them and thinks they're for her. And so then he sends Tim again and again. And eventually poor Tim ends up with a cactus.
Yeah, it's all the money he had left.
Yeah.
He's like
comes across the street
$1.
with the cactus.
Yeah, that's all he got left to buy. That was great. The whole time they're trying to keep the booze away from Selsden. That was hysterical. And they keep we got the bottle. They keep pulling it forward and sticking it in different places. And he keeps finding it. He's like a bloodhound with it.
It is. It's really well done. It's well timed. It's a lot of people with really, really terrific comedic timing used to their peak.
Yes, exactly right. And I think that's it. That the comedic timing in this is probably one of the things I love the most. Because I'm big about, you know me, I'm big about comedic timing and what it takes to, really sell a joke. You know what I mean? It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And the timing is used to, we know people that have no comedic timing and think they're hysterical.
We all know these people.
We all know, everybody knows a person like that or people like that who think they're funny. A people like that. A people. I went down to the roots. A peoples. So you go down, people like that who think they're hysterical but have no comedic timing whatsoever. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Who else we need to go over? Let's see. We talked about Denham Elliott. We talked about Michael Caine. Christopher Reeve we touched on.
There's not a lot there, though.
There's not.
But I feel like that's kind of Christopher Reeve's thing, right? His shtick was that. He played these people who there wasn't necessarily a ton there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. He's the nice guy. He just...
innocent, again, can't see the sight of blood, he faints, things like that, very uptight. But he kind of plays an idiot, right? He never gets anything. Everything's like, oh no, I get that, but I understand that, but everything was a but. He has to everything has to be explained to death to him. Michael Caine has to tell him why they take the stuff off stage and why wouldn't you just leave at the box and all that kind of stuff. And he has to constantly make up these wild reasons for him to there was a past script, there was an older script and it explains, and he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like, all right, thank God. And that's Michael Caine's job the whole time. That's Michael Caine's job the entire time, is to just basically get these people to move together and pull the ship together at the same time.
And I'm sure that these are all parodies of people that you've kind of end up with in the theater company, right? Sure. I'm sure that these are all that's the idea, right? They're well-known tropes to people who do
exaggerated
theater
versions
sure.
of,
Absolutely,
definitely, yeah. All right, there you have it. All right, what else? Kind of go over some of the things I wanted to talk about, but now, of course, without notes, I have lost it. Anything else you want to chat about with the movie? Because I don't know, it's one of my favorite movies that we watch all the time.
I think it's a, again, because of the timing and the way that things are done, that's what makes it so good and so really, really well executed. But I think that clips, I thought you had pulled up some clips.
I did.
That could be helpful.
I did pull up a few clips. Now we can also go into other movies tonight if we wanted to. We could always do, since we're kind of on this subject, we could also talk about Clue at the same time if you wanted to.
We could. We could definitely do that. So do you want to, shall we transition to Clue then?
Yeah, we can do that. We can transition to Clue.
Yes.
Again, one of my favorite movies. Another one of my favorite movies that we watch all the time. Yeah, we can make this a 2-part episode, like a dual movie episode, if you will.
Well, there's not. So Clue, I love Clue.
Yeah.
It was we watched it a lot in high school with my group of high school friends. We all loved it. We thought it was hysterical. But it's another one with this sense of comedic timing that is really, really critical.
It is very
all
similar.
The things, they're very similar in all the things that are done. And that's what makes it. Like the part where they're all running through the house.
Yes.
And going back and forth and I mean, all of it. They're just like, and the way that they all play off of each other. Tim Curry in particular, and how he just kind of masterfully leads the cast.
Yes.
But it's, it's all of those pieces together. And it's something I can rewatch. And there are certain lines that just, I know, and I get them all the time.
All the time. Okay. So do you want to play the trailer?
You can play the trailer, sure.
All right, let's play the trailer for Clue. It's funny to watch some of these old trailers.
They're very different.
Yes.
Every person in this room has the perfect motive.
Stand back!
For murder.
What do you mean? Murder.
But only one of these suspects is the murderer. Is it the timid Mr. Green?
Why are you screaming? Because I'm frightened of what? Screaming!
Or the militant Colonel Mustard?
If I was the killer, I would kill you next. Huh? I said if.
Mrs. White, who helped her husband on his way?
Well, it's a matter of life after death. Now that he's dead, I have a life.
Miss Scarlett, who's helped many men along the way?
Practice makes perfect.
Professor Plum, who's looking for a way?
I'm looking.
Mrs. Peacock?
I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, but I am determined to enjoy myself.
Or did the butler do it?
No.
Paramount Pictures invites you to an evening of mystery.
Let us out!
Murder.
This is getting quite serious.
And madness. In the movie that makes a scene of the crime. Clue. It's not just a game anymore.
And there you have it, Clue, and that's it, right? The Clue was based off of the
board game. Yep.
Based off the board game. So you have all your normal players, your Mr. Green, your Colonel Mustard, but it adds. So we'll go through a little bit of the cast. Let's see. Tim Curry plays Wadsworth, so he's kind of the leader of this whole thing. Wadsworth obviously is a character created just for the movie, and he kind of brings everybody together into the house to go. We'll go through the premise of the show. Aline Brennan plays Mrs. Peacock. Madeline Kahn plays Mrs. White. Christopher Lloyd is Professor Plum, and Michael McKean is Mr. Green. Martin Mull is Colonel Mustard. Leslie Ann Warren is Miss Scarlett. Colleen Camp is Yvette, the maid. So again, another one made up just for the movie. Lee Ving, actually his name, plays Mr. Body.
Really?
Yes, his name is Lee, Leeving is his last name, Lee Ving. So you have, just some other different actors. Bill Henderson is the cop, and Jane Wiedlin is the singing telegram girl. So there's a lot of, there's some other, Jeffrey Kramer is the motorist. There's some people that you would know from other stuff in there. Howard Hessman, who just passed away, he plays the chief. He's the chief of police.
Yep.
That comes in at the end. So again, it's one of those movies. It's a big, good cast of well-known actors and actresses all brought together for this movie. This movie came out in '85, so a lot older than Noise is Off. It's one of those movies, again, I watched growing up. It's '85, so I was, 9 years old when it came out. I watched it all the time. We got it on videotape. I watch it all the time. I kept putting it in. It is one of those, another farce type comedies, a lot of slapstick, a lot of one-liners, a lot of quick back and forth. You have people in and out of rooms, in and out doing things here, and then you got to really pay attention to what's going on. But it's the mystery, right? Who did it? I think one of my favorite parts of it is the end, where they show you three different endings. That's it. It could have happened this way, or it could happen this way. But here's how it really happened. Yeah, and Wadsworth, Tim Curry's like going over every time. He's telling you exactly how everything went. So you have the whole bit where they come in, everybody gets the letter to bring them to this big house in New England. I don't know if it was in the Berkshires, I think it was supposed to be. And eventually, and then Lee Ving's character, the Mr. Body, is supposed to be the one who brought them all there, because he's been blackmailing everybody, because he has dirt on everybody for some reason or another. And they all kind of intertwined, where they almost know, everybody sort of knows each other but doesn't know each other. And then he ends up getting killed. The lights go out. You get all the tools, right?
Yeah.
He gives everybody a gift. Somebody gets the candlestick. Somebody gets the rope, the revolver, the wrench. All the stuff from the game. And then he ends up getting killed by somebody. So then other people start showing up to the house, and the cook gets killed. The cop that shows up at the door gets killed. The singing telegram lady gets killed. Like, everybody keeps getting. I love the part where Mrs. Peacock finds, like, somebody comes to the door. She's like, "Oh, they gotta go away, or they'll be killed." Yeah, that was really one of my favorites. It's because everybody just keeps coming to the house, and everybody comes to the house that's not part of the main crew gets knocked off. But at the end, it reveals that all of those people have something to do with it. Right? They're not there by accident. Right? They're all part of it, or they were informants, or somebody who had to deal with how they so the people at the house knew who these people were. They recognized people. So it's sort of like at the end. In the first one, I think it's Mrs. Peacock that killed everybody.
Maybe.
Was it Miss Scarlett? It's Miss Scarlett, Miss Peacock, and then Wadsworth.
Yeah,
is the one who ends up doing it. At the end. At the last one, it's everybody kills somebody, and then Wadsworth is the one who ended up killing Mr. Body or whatever he is. So so it's everybody, and the whole time. One of my favorite threads throughout the whole thing is Michael McKean's character, Mr. Green. So he's supposed to be gay.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie, right? He turns out to be like FBI.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't know that until the end. You just know that these people all sort of work in and around Washington D.C. government, whether it work for the government or around Washington. And he ends up being sort of the guy who's there to arrest and deal with it. So, and I love the fact at the end of it, he's like, the whole movie's like, I didn't do it. And his is like, see, I told you I didn't do it. Now I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife. And that was really great. And that was after Howard Hessman's character came in. It's like, all right, get everybody's point. I didn't do it. They did it. She did it. That was really great. So, what are some of your favorite parts of this movie?
I like the part where I like the part where Madeline Kahn says, when they say to her, "How many husbands have you had? Mine or other women's?" 5. Just 5? Yes, just 5. Husbands should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable.
That's right.
And then Colonel Mustard says to her, "You lure men to their death like a spider with flies."
Flies are where men are most vulnerable.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That was a perfect exchange.
Favorite exchanges.
Yes, perfect exchange. Yeah. Yes. And I liked when they're sort of revealing what they, what her husband did. He was an illusionist.
Yes.
But he disappeared, never reappeared. He was not a very good illusionist.
Part of his job.
Yeah. He just he lays on his back all day. So he's dead. He's like, oh, yeah. He lays on his back all day. That's right. And when she talks about how mad she was. Flames on the side of my head.
Flame, glowing, growing,
breathing, heaving, breathless flames. Yes. There's so many great ones. I like when Wadsworth is like, he's trying to describe in the hallway. He's like, they're like, stop shouting. He's like, I'm not shouting. All right, I am. I'm shouting. The candlestick falls and hits him in the head. That, and when he's running around, he keeps like knocking Mr. Green down.
I love when they're running, when they're all running back and forth between the rooms.
Yes, because he's trying to describe where this one got shot, and this person was here, this person did it. Yeah, that was really
the cook.
The cook, right? And they stab the cook, and he's like, "You stop doing that!" No, and he hits him and takes him off again. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. So just a great cast. The stage was amazing, like the house that they used and the costumes. Like it really felt like you're watching the game. Like I played the game forever. Like we love Clue. It's one of my favorite games to play. And I like all the different versions they have. Now they actually have an Office one. I would love to get the Office Clue game, by the way. Yes. Well, you know me with The Office. So they have that. But this was just like the classic 80s movie. It's written by John Landis. So that gives you a little hint right there. Directed by Jonathan Lynn. Don't really know who that is, but I'm sure I can look it up and see what else stuff things he's done. Yvette, the maid, she's the eye candy for this movie.
Yeah.
We had Nicola Sheridan for the other movie. We have Colleen Camp, a young Colleen Camp in this movie, wearing her French maid outfit.
Yeah.
So that's as a kid, as a 10-year-old, and then teenager. That's why you watch the movie at some point. Once you've gone through all the comedy and all that stuff like that, that's why you watch it. Let's be honest. Christopher Lloyd, Professor Plum. Talk to me. He's one of my favorite characters because he is a therapist, but he's just like he
is not my favorite.
I would imagine he's not your favorite because he is not really doing your profession very good.
No, because he sleeps with his patients.
Right. That's the whole point. He's getting blackmailed because he's sleeping with his patients.
No, he slept with his patients and he got sued and he lost his license.
Yes.
As he should have, because that's a terrible thing to do.
Yes.
And he has to work now for some government agency.
Yep. Yes.
But that's what he's getting sued for. Yes, I don't like Professor Plum.
No.
I think he's a naughty pants.
He's a super naughty pants. That's part of his charm in this movie.
It's not charming.
It is. It's not charming because it's your profession. I know what you're trying to say.
It's not charming because that stuff really happens and it's awful.
Of course it is, but this is a movie.
I understand, but I have a hard time.
I understand that, and I appreciate that. But when they're looking at the pictures, and Mrs. White's like, no, nobody can get in that position. He goes, sure they can. Watch, show me. Let me show you. And he puts her down on the couch. She's like, get off me. the calmness, get off me.
I love when Mrs. Peacock is drinking the brandy. They say maybe she's poisoned. She drinks the brandy and she starts screaming and she's screaming. And then Wadsworth smacks her and says, well, I had to stop.
No, that was Michael Keane. That was Mr. Green.
I had to stop her from screaming. Before, I don't know. I put it down. Well, when did you put it down? I don't know. Before I fainted, after I fainted. But any one of you could have picked it up.
Yes, the pointing the fingers. One of my favorites is when they're the gun. They got the revolver and somebody goes they get it out of the cabinet and one shot has already gone off, like once the lights went out originally, and Mr. Body got killed, which the gun didn't actually shoot him. It clipped his ear and hit the wall behind. But they put all the weapons in the cabinet and lock it, right? And then somebody goes to get the cabinet, they go to get the gun and they start shooting at the door because Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlett are locked in the room.
Yeah.
And they're all screaming like, let us in, let us in. They're like, let us out, let us out. And then I think is it Yvette? Yvette goes to get the gun and starts shooting.
Oh, I don't remember.
And she's like, the door is open. It's just shooting. They're like, they're shooting at us. They're shooting at us. And at the end of the movie, Wadsworth's trying to explain how many bullets are left in the gun. And he's like, they're like, it's this, we got one for this, two for this, and one for this. So that's fine.
One plus one plus two plus one.
No, it was one for this, two for the chandelier, and then one. It was so it's one plus two plus one plus one. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
When they spoof. I'm sure they've done lots of spoofs, but one of my favorite ones is when they did it in Psych, and they do that part with the counting. Oh, I love it.
Yes, because it's such a well-known part of that movie.
Oh my God,
it went on for quite a while. That whole portion. The comedy in this is just spot on. I love listening to this. It's one of those movies I can listen to while I'm sleeping. It's kind of weird. When I was a kid, because of the murders and everything like that. Obviously, it kind of freaked me out a little, even though it is a comedy. So there's certain movies, and this is one of them, where the stage that it's set kind of always weirded me out as a kid. I don't know why. I probably had like dreams that I was stuck there or something like that, or I was in, you know what I mean? Probably because I'd watched this before I went to bed. That might have something to do with it. But this was definitely one of those movies. Even though I loved watching the movie, like it was so almost realistic to me.
Doesn't bother me at all.
I know.
Doesn't bother me in the slightest.
I know. Thanos coming down with his big glove of stones drives you crazy, but this one.
But this, no.
This one doesn't bother you at all.
Not even a little bit.
I know. We talked about that. I know. We already talked about that, but the realistic stuff doesn't bother you, but the completely unrealistic aliens from outer space thing
really disturbs my dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to find out why, like what really causes that. Other than like the noises, I know we talked about that, like the shoot 'em up, bang bang. Mm-hmm. You know, but this movie's like there's a lot of screaming in this movie.
There's a lot of think of how I grew up. There's a lot of screaming there. Sure. A lot of loud people.
Yeah, well, we both had that growing up. There's a lot of loud people in and around us. Absolutely. So yeah. Let's see. Miss Scarlett, she plays the madam, basically. She owns like a brothel, if you will, or whatever. Like,
it's a brothel.
The brothel, she runs a brothel, company, for women for a short period of time, and like Christopher Lloyd's like, yeah, really? What's the number?
I need that number.
I need that number. They look at him like with total disgust. The whole movie, he's just like hitting on everything and just being creepy and disgusting. Tim Curry. Let's talk about Wadsworth. To me, he's the star of the show, right? I mean, it's Tim Curry, so what the hell, right? He is, the man and just a comedic genius. I love Tim Curry's. Wadsworth, again, just made up for the show, the movie itself, not ever a character in the games or whatever. Give me your take on Tim Curry's character. Because he ends up, like I said, being the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
But the whole movie, you're on his side. He gives you that, like, he's the one who called everybody there because his wife was also being blackmailed by Mr. Body.
Her friends were socialists.
Yes. So, because this is what period of time? Which period of time?
I think it's the 50s.
So, I want to say it was even earlier.
No, it's not, because they talk about the House on Un-American Activities Committee, and that's the 50s with McCarthy.
Yep, gotcha. That's right. I don't know why in my brain it was like the 30s or 40s or something like that, but okay, no, you're right. So he ends up being Mr. Body. He's actually Mr. Body by the end of it.
Yeah.
So he takes you on this complete ride this entire time, and he ends up being the main bad guy, which I thought was a great twist.
But that's what makes it so wonderful, right? Is that at the end that twist comes and you're not expecting it.
You didn't expect it, no.
Completely don't expect it.
No.
There are some characters in there, like you might expect Miss Scarlett or Professor Plum to have had that kind of cunning, but not Wadsworth. Tim Curry plays such a good, like, a believable good guy.
Yes.
In this role, and it's like it feels really genuine.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why, like, when he had that twist at the end, and he is Mr. Body, and he was the one who's blackmailing everybody, and he's going to continue blackmailing everybody because essentially he got it all out in the open, and they've all by the end of the movie, because almost everybody has killed somebody during the movie. So now he has even more dish on them. Can still, because you killed you, so he can still keep on blackmailing everybody. Because they all essentially have something to lose with their job, or Mrs. Peacock's husband is a state senator or whatever. So they all have something they can lose. So he's going to continue to blackmail him until basically Michael Keane's character and Howard Hessman come in and stop him, which I thought was great. Howard Hessman comes in, he's basically like almost like one of those I want to talk to you about Jesus. Do you mind? Do you have a minute to talk about Jesus? Like, I'd rather you not. He comes in one of those guys until he calls all the rest of the boys in. And I love that Mr. Michael Caine's like, told you I didn't do it. That's still one of my favorites. So you hear throughout the movie, you hear these parts where like people kind of give away who, like Mrs. Peacock, they kind of start to give away a little bit who they are, which I thought was very well threaded throughout the movie. And it's one of those movies you have to pay attention. Like, you have to pay attention to this movie when it's going on, because things play out by the end, whether it's Mrs. Peacock's ending or Miss Scarlett's ending or the whole, everybody, it all plays throughout the movie. So you get these little clips and bits, but you're not always thinking about it until the end. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like with her with the soup, when she really loved the soup. This is like her favorite soup. What was it?
Shark fin soup.
Shark fin soup. That's right. And Mr. Green's like, is that what we ate? Look like he's gonna yark. Yeah, that was the monkey's brains. The monkey's brains. Right?
That's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. No. But he's just like, he said monkey's brains, although popular in Indonesian cuisine or whatever, is not often found in Washington, D.C. And that's what Mr. Green's like, is that what we ate?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was part of it. That was definitely, so that was a good part where they keep doing the cook. She's she gets killed pretty right away.
Yeah.
She gets stabbed. So it's fun to watch them go throughout the house and all the little cool stuff that they did with how the house worked and everything like that.
Stack the bodies.
Let's
move in the study.
That's right. 3 bodies, everything's fine. I like that they go by. Like by the end of it, they're just so nonchalant. Like, yeah, it's just another body.
It's another one. We'll just add it to our collection.
We're just racking them up in there. 3 bodies, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Because things like people start to go missing. They lose Mr. Body.
Mm-hmm.
His body. Mr. Body's body. It's gone. No, because he was playing dead. He ended up getting up and leaving. Ended up leaving through one of the the paintings in the wall or whatever, and then they end up tracking him down and killing him.
There's a secret passage.
They have a bunch of secret passages, which is hysterical. It doesn't really work. It's kind of weird how the secret passages work. It's almost like it's on one side, but like that one from the study goes to the kitchen, but the kitchen's on the other side of the house.
They made that though. I mean, they just did that in the game, and so they had to carry it through to the to this. So I don't think it was really well thought out. I think they just kind of went with it.
Yeah, just the way the layout of the house. Like, how did that? If you go behind the wall, whichever, you have to go around like the greenhouse, which there is no wall. It's just like glass.
Yeah.
So there's no way to get from that right side of the house to the left side of the house.
I don't think they thought people were going to think about this as deeply as you do, my dear.
And that's a good point, because it was the 80s and there was no internet. So there was none of that kind. There was no social media.
We forget this, yeah.
Right? There's none of that. Like today, people pick apart things to no end, right? Because you have the internet, and obviously you can instant download. You can rewatch things, and people dissect things, and kind of like what we're doing, right? They pick things apart and go scene by scene. What did you think of it? This is the 80s. You watched it once in the theater, and maybe got it on videotape when it came out.
VHS,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get to Blockbuster, if it was there, you know what I mean? But you certainly didn't have these discussion groups and podcasts and things like that to dissect incorrect parts of movies. Although I do remember when I was, I think, like in my early teens, when we were having those film flub books, they had books. And I want to say it had like 4 or 5 volumes.
I never had such a thing.
Oh my God, they were fantastic. Now it's online, moviemistakes.com or whatever. You can go and this, it tallies up. Like Star Wars still has some of the highest rating with like, they tell you how many between
mistakes.
Continuity, where you can see film equipment or whatever, all that kind of stuff, right? But I had these books and I loved them. They were small little little short books, but they were great where they went over all this stuff.
It's a good point though. We forget, even though we grew up in a time where there was not the internet. Like I was just watching something on Netflix last night about sports betting, like a point shaving scandal. And the guy who was saying, like, he fell asleep and he didn't hear the final score of the game, and he got up the next day and he was like, there wasn't the internet, so it wasn't like I could just find out.
Right. Just go on.
I had to, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And you forget, like, but that's how we lived most of our lives.
Yeah, I
didn't have a cell phone until I graduated from college.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it was just a phone.
Drug dealers and doctors.
Those are beepers.
Those are the pagers.
Those are pagers, not cell phones.
That's right.
Not cell phones.
And which one were you?
Neither. That's why I couldn't have one.
That's right. Yeah, no, and I mean, I had one when I worked at Cambridge Soundworks, like almost right out of high school. I got my first cell phone because I was working. I paid for it myself.
Because you have to have every gadget.
That's right, and I still do. No, but it was a cell phone. Like I never had one. I had a cell phone, right? I was working and driving.
Who had a cell phone in 1994?
Huh?
Who had a cell phone in 1994?
I wasn't say it was 94. I want to say it was me. Well, I mean, it was close to. It was probably 96 at the latest. We had moved from California Street to Needham Street in Newton. I got it when I was up at Needham Street.
I definitely didn't have one until I graduated from college, and I had a car.
Nice. Yeah, I had a car in my last year of high school. I had a car.
Yeah.
Because I was allowed, my grandma had given me her car, and I had the car because you could, last year of high school, at that time, you could go off campus if you were a senior. Like if you had breaks, you could leave school and go. And I did. It was the best. I had every lunch period, the way I worked out my schedule, I had like over an hour and a half to 2 hours because I had like a free block either before or after lunch. So I had my lunch period plus a free block butted up against it. So either before or after lunch. So I could just go home, watch The Price of Right or watch something, have some lunch. And then, school was, 2 miles maybe away from my house. Driving time was 5 minutes. So just drive home, have some lunch, stick around a little bit, go back to school, keep going with the day. It was awesome. It was the best. And I still graduated with like 35 extra credits than I needed to graduate high school, because I just stacked my first 3 years, like no free blocks, no study periods. I went to all like, art majors and whatever. So I stacked it. So by my senior year, I had more credits than I needed to, and I still had a free block that I could go home for 2 hours. It's awesome. They got away with that really quick after I left. They stopped letting seniors go off campus.
Mm-hmm.
We had it good. We had it good back then. It was nice. But yeah, so going back to it, you see these things. And that's a fun part, I think, about movies, is watching these older movies. Not just, obviously, this is a period piece, technically, right? This was in 84, but like you said, it was in the 50s or whatever. You watch this sort of stuff happen, and I was listening to, I think it was Kevin Smith happened to be talking about that when he was watching, there was like a horror movie, like Night of the Living Dead, right? And these people are just, in the van running away from these zombies or whatever. And like nowadays, it's like you could just, text them, cut it out, leave me alone, right? Or you could text somebody like I'm being stalked or whatever. But there was none of that. So you watch these things like, oh yeah, you take for granted the things that we can do today. We were talking about that, like even when you watch Friends, where they started to have cell phones throughout that show, but at the beginning it wasn't very prevalent. Frasier, they had more so. Like they would use their cell phones, but like, you look at like a Three's Company or shows in the 80s, even the early 90s, they weren't prevalent.
Well, because they didn't exist.
Right. That's what I mean. So you watch them, you're like, how did they not just text that person or call that person? It's like, oh, right. There was no way to do that then.
But there are a lot of those things now, like the tropes and the jokes and the things that they did that don't work anymore, right?
Right. Because you're like, I'm just going to call them.
I just text them.
Yeah. Just text them or tweet them or whatever. Like, cut it out. Hashtag leave me alone. You know what I mean? So you can't do that anymore. So it's interesting how they have to, they have to adapt and make something work for today. Because there's still that kind of comedy, mistaken identities and things like that, but you have to make it a little bit more inventive, because there are easier ways to get around it.
Yeah. Well, you have to work within the box.
Yeah. So that was a fun part of this movie, is watching that and how that would play out, right? And it would not play out the same way now.
Oh, for sure.
So definitely one of my favorite movies is Clue. So which one? Clue and Noises Off. Give me some ratings here.
Clue's my favorite.
Clue's your favorite.
Clue's
How many
my
mics
favorite.
you giving it?
5.
5 mics. Ooh, can't go any higher than 5 mics.
It is.
You feel it's a perfect movie for you.
It is, and it's super nostalgic for me. There's a lot of wrapped up like good memories for it with me in high school, and I just love it. So 5 mics.
I'll go with you. I'll go with the 5 mic on that one. It is a perfect movie. Something you can watch over and over again. It's a fun date movie. I think it's cute. It's a cute date movie. What about Noises Off?
4.5.
4.5. What took away the half?
I don't think I can do 2 5s.
You can't do 2 5s at once, so screw them. They get the 4.5. They're gonna have to get bumped down. So Clue's a better movie to you.
Yeah,
and I agree. I think it is a better movie.
To me,
I love Noises Off. I think Clue is definitely a step above.
Yeah,
Noises Off. I think the overall, the comedy and the nostalgia for me, because it's an 80s movie. So obviously I've been watching it longer than I've been watching Noises Off. Yeah, I go the same way. I'd probably be a 4.5 on the Noises Off too, because it is close to perfect. It's not perfect. There's a couple of, going back to that, there's a couple of slower points to it. There's a couple of, not dead spots, but there's a couple of slow points to the movie that I was just like, okay. I think the first half of the movie is really strong. Once they pass Miami, it's just not as strong. I think like once they get sort of to that, after that section, it's not as strong a movie. Even all the way up to the end. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not. It's because then everything starts to kind of go well. Like we said, we're back at Broadway. Everything sounds like, all right, everything's working. He, Michael Caine, he's happy and things like that. But I think the first half especially is a lot stronger than the second half. Whereas Clue, it's beginning to end.
Yeah, I agree.
The dog poop on the shoe trope through the beginning when they keep smelling it. That was really fun. So it's just laid with that kind of one after the other. Moment after moment after moment. So there you go. So there's our reviews on both Noises Off and Clue. We took care of 2 of them in one podcast. Do you believe it?
No, well, we're just that good.
We're just that good. Okay, fine. I like that. All right, excellent. All right, any last final words on either one of the movies People should go watch them, obviously, if you haven't
Yes.
done it. They're both available on Apple iTunes, probably some streaming channels. I didn't actually check on both. I know Clue is. Noises Off is probably a little harder to find.
Mm-hmm.
Clue is definitely more of a cult classic, popular movie. Did better in theaters, did better on home video than Noises Off did. But definitely, if you can find it, I would recommend definitely watching both. And Noises Off is a good, fun date movie as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I would watch that. We did it a couple times during our dates, during when we were dating. So yeah, I'd watch that. All right, gang. All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Amy.
Always a pleasure.
Always fun. All right, everybody. We are Entertainment Rants at entertainmentrants.com. Check us out on social media at Entertainment Rants and on Twitter, Entertain Rants. Feel free to drop us a line, a review on Apple Podcasts, or tell us what you'd like us to rant about at engage@entertainmentrants.com. All right. Everybody have a great night. Amy, what's our hashtag?
Hashtag Let's Rant.
You got it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much and have a great night, everyone.